Welcome to the Learn to Sew Academy channel. Please remember to subscribe. Thank you.
A little story about this jacket. My daughter and I walked into a store one day and we saw this beautiful designer jacket on display, but they had it only in adult sizes. So we decided to make one for her. So this video will show you how we made this designer bomber jacket. To make this bomber jacket, we're going to use this fabric, some lining, a separating zipper, and some ripped knit fabric, and some button. Now to start the bomber jacket, we're going to cut the front and the back together. So the first thing to do is to fold your fabric into two as such, and then you fold again so that you have 4 layers of fabric. We have a zipper in the front. We need to leave 1-inch zip allowance in the front. Make sure you have enough for your bust measurement. That's the biggest part of the body measurement that we're going to be using. The bust is 35 inches. If you divide that by 4, you have 8.75 plus whatever allowance that you intend to use. So you want to make sure you have enough from the center. This is a center back fold. You want to make sure you have enough for your 8.75 plus your sewing allowance. Now I have enough. I'm going to cut out the length of the top that I intend to use so that I can work with less fabric. Now I need 22 inches for my jacket, the total length. So I'm going to cut off the length I need, taking away the ripped knit portion of the jacket. Now my total is 22. My ripped bottom part of the jacket is going to be 3 inches. So 22 less 3 inches is going to be 19 inches. Now I'm going to need 19 inches plus my sewing allowance. So I'm going to leave a sewing allowance of 1/2 inch at the top, 1/2 inch at the bottom. So altogether I'm going to be cutting out 20 inches from this fabric. Now from this I'm going to cut the neckline and the sleeve. Again, I'm cutting the front and the back together. So first I'm going to measure for my sleeve. This is the middle part, so I'm going to be measuring my sleeve, my arm, all around this area. First we'll do the shoulder. We're working with a shoulder of 15 inches. You divide it by 2, you get 7.5. I'm going to put an extra 1/2 inch for my seam allowance. Then from here down, we're going to measure 9.5. Now this is where I now measure for my bust. The bust is 35. You divide that by 4, you get 8.75. And then I'm going to add 1 inch sewing allowance. So that gives me 9.75. And I'm going to use the same all the way at the bottom because I just need to cut it straight. So now I'm going to join this right to the shoulder from the bust area. I just want to do a curved line from the bust area to the shoulder area. You can also use a curve ruler to join it if you so desire, but if you don't have a curve ruler, you just use your free hand, and I like to just practice using my free hand to do my curves. Then I join the lines from the bust area to the end of the top. Next, I'm gonna do my neckline. Now from the center fold right here, I'm gonna measure 3 inches. And then remember, this is the back and this is the front. So for the front, I'm gonna do a depth of 3 inches. You can do between 2.5 to 3.5, but I'm gonna do a depth of 3 inches right here. For the front, I'm just gonna do about 1/2 inch, just something really little for the front. So I'm just gonna curve this for the front. So I'm gonna put a little cut right here. I'm gonna notch it right there so that I can identify the front part where I begin to draw my curved line for the front. You can as well also just measure your 3 inches plus whatever you left for your zip allowance. So now we cut. Before we cut, we need to do a slant right here before I forget. So just want to make a slant between 1 inch, between 1/2 inch to 1 inch. So I'm just going to do about 1/2 inch slant right here. Now we'll cut. Then we cut the neckline. Again, this is the back. Then we do the front. And now we are done with the main body of our jacket. Now I'm gonna take my bat. I've not done the slant. I'm gonna cut the slant real quick. And now I'm gonna use my batten because I want the front and the back to have some batten with it. So I'm gonna place this on my batten and I'm just going to cut the same size out. Our sleeves will not have any back on. That's what we have decided to do. So now this is my batten. I'm just placing this on top and I'm just gonna cut and trace this out, and I'll do the same for the 2 front sides as well. Now I've cut the batten for all the 3 pieces, the back and the 2 front sides. Next, we're going to cut the lining. Now using the front piece, one of the front pieces is a template, I'm just going to cut my lining. I folded this in 2 because I want to cut the 2 front pieces together. So I have the 2 front linings cut now. We do the same for the back. We use the back piece to cut the lining. We use it as a template and cut the lining for the back. To cut the sleeves, I'm just going to quickly measure this armhole here, and I have 10 inches right there. To cut the sleeve, I first fold it into 2, and then I fold it again since I want to do 2 sleeves at the same time. So I'm gonna fold again. Then I want to first make sure that I have enough for my armhole, which was going to be 10. So I'm just going to roughly check that, and I have enough. and I do have enough for my sleeve round. Now to cut the sleeve, we're gonna measure how long the sleeve is gonna be. We have 21.5 inches for the total sleeve, but want to know how much to cut out of this particular fabric. Our ribbed end of the sleeve is going to be, our ribbed knit end of the sleeve is going to be 3 inches. So if you take that out from the 21.5 inches, we're gonna have 18.5 inches left. So we're going to add half an inch at both ends of the sleeve, at the top where we'll be joining it, and at the lower end we need half an inch seam allowance. So plus 18.5, that gives us 19.5. Now remember, the style we are making, we're going to have 2 tear belt sleeves in our jacket. We're going to have 2 circular sleeves added into the jacket, as you can see in the picture. So we're going to have to cut the jacket and rejoin it at those points. So for those 2 parts, we're going to add 1 inch each for both parts. That's 2 additional inches. So plus our 19.5, we're going to be cutting 21.5 from this fabric. So I'm going to measure 21.5 and cut that out. Next is to measure for the armhole, which we know is 10 inches. So I'm just going to roughly estimate where my 10 inches is. Now this is one method of cutting the sleeves. You can check my other tutorials to see the 2 different techniques you can use to cut sleeves. So now I'm going to do my sleeve length, my sleeve round. We need a sleeve round of 8 inches. We divide that into 2. We're going to need 4 inches plus half an inch seam allowance. Now I connect that to where I have my 10-inch mark for my armhole. And now from the end, I want to draw an inverted S from this tip right to where I have marked the armhole area. So I'm doing like an inverted S. First, I'll check the midpoint. Again, you can check my sleeves video to understand the different techniques you can use to cut your sleeves. This right here is what we call the freehand or blind technique. So now I'm going to cut this out. I will notch the midpoint. So we have our sleeves right here. Now I'm going to mark where to cut my sleeves. Remember, we have 2 circular sleeves. It's a double tiered sleeve. So double tiered belt sleeve. So I'm going to mark where I'm going to be cutting it. I've determined I want it at the 11-inch mark and a 14-inch mark. Like I said earlier, we're going to be cutting it at the 11-inch mark and 14-inch mark. That's where we're going to be joining our circle sleeves. So from here down here, we have marked 11.5, which is 11 plus half an inch to join it back. So we're going to do 3 inches now, but remember, we're going to have half an inch to join it to this part of the sleeve and another half an inch to join it to the lower part of the sleeve. So that gives us 4 inches, which is right here. So I've drawn a line right here and another line right here at those points. So that is where we cut the sleeves. So now we have these three pieces which are going to join together again to cut the circular portion that will form the bell sleeve. To do that, I need to know this measurement because this is where I'm going to be joining it at. But the bell sleeve that we're going to be cutting, the circular part of it that we need to cut is going to be gathered. So we're not going to use the exact same measurement that we're measuring here, but we still need to know the measurement to guide us. But we'll do a little bit more so that we can have just a little bit of gathers. So right here I have 7.5. The second bell sleeve is going to be joined over here. The second circular part of the sleeve, the second tier, is coming over here. So I need to measure this part as well. So this right here is 6.75, and this is 7.5. So roughly 7.5 by 7 is what I'm going to be using to cut the next part of the sleeves.
We need to do a vertical fold and an horizontal fold to cut our circle. So this is what you see happening right here. To cut the circular part of the sleeve, we're going to find a radius because we're cutting a circle. We know that we need 15 inches for our sleeve round, which is 7.5 times 2. So you divide 15 inches by 6.28 to get the radius of 2.39. Because we're going to put in some gathers, I'll be using 3.5. And I'll measure from the tip of my fold. I'm going to measure the 3.5 and measure that all across from that tip right there. And then I'll just draw a circle once I've done that. But first, when I fold this, you want to make sure you have enough to go round. I need 5 extra inches for my sleeve length. So I'll measure from that edge, from the tip. I'm measuring 8.5 now. That is the 3.5 plus my 5 inches. Her 1.5 seam allowance is already added to that 5 inches. So now I connect the dots and I cut it. At the end of the day, I'm going to be having 3.5 for my sleeves when I finish sewing this.
So now I have 2 continuous circle, which is what I'm going to be using. We'll also need to cut a lining for the sleeve. I'm not going to put a button on the sleeve.
Click the link in the description or on this video to see how we stitch all these parts together. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and please give this video a thumbs up and share it. Thank you.